We are here at the edge of Skar in Chapter 1 of the Skar expedition. And we are going to move over to our first scene, which is the small kind of outpost of Splintervale. You guys were able to talk with Professor Lyle Whitmore the day before at the tavern, and you were able to kind of gain his trust and his friendship with your good attitudes and your kind of your positive vibes as characters. And he sees you as knowledgeable associates that can help him in his journey. But you know that there potentially is more going on to the story, having felt out a little bit of Professor as you questioned him. But in the morning, you head out into the Splintervale itself, to the local kind of trading posts, and you're there gathering any supplies. So we're going to just spend the first round establishing initiative order with a d20 roll, and then if there's anything in particular that you want to grab from, say, the starting gear, or I'll even say I'll give you a roll on the shabby loot table if you wish, or if there's something specific.
Alrighty, here's my d20 here.
Whew! Coming in hot there, David.
Ooh, yes. Let's hope it lasts. So I will take a roll on the shabby loot table then.
For sure. Let me grab
so what do I need to roll? D20, is it?
D100.
Oh, okay. If I double click the D10 loot,
It should, yes.
D100 roll?
It should.
So 18.
18, okay. Let me grab that for you. I'll drop it in the chat for easy reference. But you found a skin of stale gar. One of the traders kind of offers it to you as you're buying up supplies. He throws it in to commit you to that purchase. After some haggling, throws in a skin of stale gar. When you consume it, it makes your next roll easy.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Okay, how about you? Good luck.
Yeah, let's. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna see. I know it's sparse trading town, so I'm gonna see what I can find. 71.
That is a shovel.
Oh.
Okay. It says that it's a sturdy steel and wood shovel, but what I'm going to say for that shovel is that any kind of like digging or excavating will also be easy.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Which I think will come in pretty handy in an expedition of this nature. You never know when you might have to dig something up.
Mm-hmm. Gotta lay those traps too, so.
Oh, that's true. I will say that if you're digging or excavating in relation to a trap, that still counts.
Okay, cool. Sounds good, yeah. So good luck kind of goes through town, and he knows a lot of the traders here. He's kind of been setting things up, and he's, I don't know, he knows he's going out into the wild, and the old bones, and it's like, well, shovel's one of the things that you can hit things on the head or, do something useful, so picks up a good sturdy shovel, and it's on his way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so, as you guys are coming around, Professor Whitmore comes up and kind of gathers you, and you eventually do meet his assistant Ewan over here as well, who's been collecting many of the supplies for your trip, and he proposes and talks to you. And he's like, "Well, we've spent enough time already. The sun is already cresting over the mountains and the trees, and if we don't get moving too soon, it's going to be right over our heads, and we'll be sweating our robes out, and there'll be nothing to do of it, except bathe in dirt, I guess. Forgive me again. I wanted to introduce you to my assistant, Ewan. He's been busy collecting things, and you can see Ewan is a much younger gentleman, potentially one of his students back at the universities, and he's here to help and assist the professor in their travels.
So good luck kind of approaches Ewan and says, Ewan, good lad there. Happy to be joining you. The professor was speaking highly of your talents and services. And so, what brings you into the professor's employ? Just kind of asked directly how they got connected.
For sure. Oh yes, it's my pleasure to be out here with the professor. I have a deep appreciation for science, and he's kind of taken me under his wing. And I just think that coming out on an expedition will kind of bump out my repertoire and my reputation as a scientist. Perhaps get me into a better position back at the university when I finish schooling, of course.
And I'm just going to ask, is there a particular science that tickles your fancy, so to speak? Is there anything particular that you enjoy?
I'm
asking if he has a particular field and kind of like in relation, because the professor is pretty guarded, so I thought maybe Lyle would be a little bit more loose with what they're going after or what they're about.
Oh, that makes total sense. He kind of immediately starts chattering. Oh yes, of course. My preference is the Isles of Xenos. I've always found those isles down south fascinating. Of course, if this expedition would have been down there, I would have volunteered the moment it was mentioned. But we're on the other side of Alfheim, really. But can't complain.
Excellent. Yes. Maybe someday I'll accompany you there, and I'll just kind of clap him on the back and be on the way.
Okay. All right. Anything from you? No.
I think Noah's kind of, happy enough. He's better kind of preoccupied about the journey he's going to be making. This is all kind of new terrain to him. So he's probably just standing around, kind of taking it in. He's both, a little bit apprehensive, but he's also kind of enjoying, all these new sights and peoples that he's meeting. But I don't think he's kind of a bit overawed, I think, probably by the whole experience.
That's fair. You are quite a far way from home. Well, as you guys finish the conversations and the last of the supplies arrive at your request, they're packed into kind of a pack mule of sorts, and then you begin traveling out of the outpost of Splintervale and out into the wilds of Skar.
So, I think right before they leave, Goodluck does a final check over the supplies. He's like, these professors, they don't know what they need, Ewan's trying his best, but I'm gonna make a wisdom check and just kind of a gut reaction of like, oh no, like something's missing, like we may need this,
Okay.
And not expecting anything too specific, but like if it's a nat 20, it's be like, you know what, I have a pretty good feeling that first one there. So this is a 3, and yeah, so there's nothing really that stands out as I look over the supplies. It looks like it's order. Ewan did a pretty good job, and it's like boxes. It's hard to tell exactly if there's anything missing from them. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep, you feel confident. These supplies should get you to at least out through the wild, and then over to kind of the outpost city further into Skar. But for now, you want to travel enough in the daylight to get you to the old bones, at least by nightfall. Okay. Well, as you begin traveling, the things that you notice specifically is that Skar is not a desert in the perhaps more original sense or more common sense. It's not filled with sand and dunes and the nature of such. What's more pronounced about Skar is its almost southwest nature of their desert. Large buttes rise above the sky, the clouds and everything is crystal blue. The ground itself is sparse with kind of shrubs and tumbleweed and almost in a more western style of desert. You see out large rocky pillars that the wind itself has corroded and eroded into these magnificent structures. And so you travel most of the day going through, and let me just pull that again. Sorry. It's quite, in all honesty, very beautiful. The wind is high at times, but nothing that you can't resist on the first day, at least. Could somebody give me a D20 roll?
Sure. There you go.
Okay.
17.
So as you travel along, you find an interesting, almost kind of relic in the sand, or at least into the landscape. You notice that there's this large stony pillar that's carved and kind of imbued with some other. It's not all stones. That's the thing. Hold on, Here we go. You see kind of almost this large statue carved with skulls, and you see that the stone is inlaid with almost this white ivory kind of colored material.
Okay, and how close are we to this?
You kind of see it off in the distance because it is fairly large. It's not a massive statue, but it's large enough that you see it off on the horizon first, and as you approach it, it's probably a good 10 meters or like 5 to 10 meters tall. But now you're there directly at its base.
Okay. So that skull type thing on it is pretty massive then.
Yes. It's almost as if one of these kind of rocky outcroppings was carved into this shape.
Okay, so I imagine kind of Noah will kind of be standing there kind of wide-eyed with his mouth wide open at seeing, such an incredible sight, and trying to think of what possible beast or monster could that have been. And so he'll kind of walk around to the side, because as we approach, it kind of looks like it has one eye socket. So Noah's going to move around to see, does it have another one, or is it a cyclops or something like that?
It does have another eye. It seems to be a fairly rudimentary depiction of a skull.
So it's actually carved out. It's not an actual skull.
Yes, it's carved from stone, but it is inlaid with some ivory material.
And it looks like there's some sort of script on the bottom of it there. Is that something legible to us, or is it a foreign?
It seems to be in a bit of a foreign, almost runic kind of style.
Well, perhaps the professor or his sidekick, Ewan, might have an idea. So Noel will say to them, do you know what that says?
Yeah. Give me a Give me a D20. No. We'll see if he knows. Okay. So as the professor and Ewan kind of come up, he looks at the statue in awe, and you can tell that the professor's in heaven, in his sense, like already before the late afternoon. He's already starting to see these large wonders that many don't, having out in the wild. But as he looks at it, he can't make it out entirely, but he does recognize it at least to be a script. Kind of, what is it? What's the word? That originates in Skar. It seems to be like, yeah,
a native.
Native. That's the word. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So what I'd like to do is I'd like to see, the maps that I have are not like this complete filled out encyclopedia. I've tried to gather notes in my travels of seeing kind of what people encounter, or, what sort of useful information. So I know I've jotted a few just kind of bullet point notes from the region. So I'm going to check that, see if they mention anything about the skull, or what it may be, giving a kind of foreboding omen. I'm like, oh, did anybody write anything about this? But unfortunately, my notes don't include it, and so it doesn't seem like anybody's really paid mention to a giant skull. And I'm just kind of scratching my head over that one. Like, man, you think that would have made the cut? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think somebody would have made a note. So now I'm a little on edge. Like, skulls don't generally represent like, oh, welcome to our place. So good luck's getting a little bit shifty, kind of looking around, checking the surroundings, being like, okay, is anybody using this to kind of lure people in or something? So he's a little bit more afraid than he is not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the statue and everything, it is just that stone. So the only kind of presence it gives off is just its massive presence as a statue. There doesn't seem to be any kind of foreign vibe to it, but I see what you mean. An unknown skull statue standing in the middle of Skar, with no mention of it anywhere.
It's a dangerous place, Skar.
Mm-hmm.
Giant skulls don't really give me like a ton of comfort.
For sure.
I think Good Luck's gonna take out a tobacco pipe, and he's just gonna be puffing on that a little bit to kind of think about it and kind of help calm his nerves as he's going on his travels.
Very nice. Give me give me a D4 roll. Okay. So with that pipe, I'm gonna say that any constitution or kind of like stress, you're the next one that you come across, you'll be calmer for it.
Excellent.
Okay. Well, you do spend some time there kind of studying, and you see the professor jotting down notes, and Ewan is using some other equipments to kind of gather a few samples and drop them into vials and things, and a few sketches as well of the structure. But after probably about 30 minutes to an hour, they decide it's best to keep going. That the sun is still high in the sky, and we do want to make our destination so that you can camp in the at least in the relative safety of the old bones. So you depart and watch as the skull disappears over the hills and outcroppings. And the next thing that you come across as the sun begins to dip in the sky is another structure, except this one doesn't appear to be man-made. Out in the field, on the edge of the Old Bones graveyard, you come across your first fossilized dragon skull.
Mm. So cool.
And again, it sits there in petrified immortality as it's kind of as you enter into the old bones. You've heard about these bones specifically, and the fossilized drakes are kind of reputed to be as hard as geranium.
Mm.
And this one in particular, oh sorry, I didn't mean to move you. This one in particular is probably a good, the head itself is probably twice your size as your height at least. The mouth is gaping, and you can see down into the bony neck of the beast. No, how would you How would you react to this coming all the way from Greenway and now staring into the face of a dragon? Fossilized, of course, but a dragon nonetheless.
Well, I think if Ko knew where Kansas was, he'd say we're certainly not in Kansas anymore. But he might say we're certainly not in Greenway anymore.
No. Yeah.
So he'll kind of look back at all. There's anything kind of pertaining to the natural worlds. Is something of great kind of spiritual value to know. So, he'll kind of gaze upon it with, wonderment really, but also a sense of sadness to think that, these majestic beasts, as scary as they might seem, that it's sad to think that they, met their demise for some reason or other. So he'd probably take a moment to kind of, say a little prayer in his mind to the spirit of these great kind of dragons.
Okay. Could you give me a whiz roll?
Yeah, sure can.
Whew.
Okay, 22.
Okay. So as you pray, you have almost a slight spiritual experience as you pray and kind of not necessarily worship, but at least show respect and have this spiritual connection with this creature. Can you tell me a little bit about this dragon as it was when it was alive? What do you see?
Well, I suppose maybe kind of know as this sense kind of comes over him. There's at first there's the sort of the excitement and the wonder of being able to sense some remnant of its spirit, but then I think that kind of quickly turns to kind of fear as he senses the certain malice to that spirit, and that these were not creative kind of entities. They were destructive, rage filled and angry. I don't know if that fits with the lore or not, but I suppose that's just what I'm making up off the top of my head.
No, that's perfect.
Okay. So I think that kind of gives him, he shudders a bit and kind of, and kind of finds himself. It's not something he likes to think because, he believes that there's, a place for every natural being, but he's kind of thankful to some degree that these things no longer exist.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least he believes they don't.
It's true. Okay. All right. Good luck.
Yeah, I think good luck's taking a big long draw on the pipe and kind of pondering those tales that he heard when he lived in the Shum with the goblins, and just of like the sheer ferocity that the dragons represent, and kind of the terror that they were to the goblins, and how they were kind of destined to be mortal enemies, like total opposite end of the spectrum, like the tiny versus the massive, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's just kind of taking us all in, just being like, God, I would have loved to have been the one to take this foul creature down. You know, he's just like, oh, like if I had only had the chance to end one of these drakes. And you know, he can't help but respect like the power of a massive animal, but these things are lions that fly and also breathe fire. So it's just like these they're wonderful to look at, but they're evil hunting creatures, and so he's still on edge, and he doesn't really like being out in the wild and just having a good old. He's not having a good old time. He's on edge a little bit, seeing these things. He's like, what other predators would be, you know, lurking about these bones, and what other creatures have we not seen? And he hasn't quite been this deep yet, so he's definitely looking to like what's the next step, and what do we need to be on the lookout for.
Well, it's good that you ask, because as you, again, the Professor and Ewan are constantly taking notes, and you can see that they're jotting down things, but you travel deeper and deeper into the old bones, and this is not the first or last drake that you'll see fossilized into the sand, into the stone itself. You travel along and you see other carcasses, fuller carcasses, bigger carcasses, fossilized stones and skulls and horns, galore.
I think that good luck, the biggest question in his mind is like why on earth would have all of these like massive, powerful creatures have fallen to the same fate in the same place? Like, is this, you know, did the drakes have a ritual of laying their old to rest here? Was there something bigger that took down, you know, these things? Like, he's trying to think through like what sort of force in the world could have kind of taken down, and like why would they all be here? And I think that's really kind of what has his jaw dropping, is thinking like, is there a bigger fish?
At your question, Professor Whitmore comes over and mentions, now you're thinking like a scientist. Now you're thinking like a professor. You have a mind for someone who thinks, and not just someone who does.
Yeah, I think also that Good Luck has a little notebook that he does little charcoal sketches of like his journey. So I think he's just got little bound book that he's just taking a little sketch of these creatures and things. He's not professional by any means, but he likes to keep mementos, and that's kind of his version of it.
Very nice. Well, as you guys go deeper and deeper into the old bones, into the graveyard itself, the noises that you hear almost change. You've been traveling for many hours out in the windy landscape of Skar, and most of the time all you heard was wind and the sand blowing against your cloaks. But as soon as you kind of got deeper into the bones themselves, it's almost as if the bones are at least buffing the wind itself. It seems to be much quieter, and it's almost eerie as you hear rocks drop and things shift, skittering and things of the nature. Can both of you, give me a whiz roll?
Okay. Yeah, 20.
Yeah. So both of you at this time hear something much more prominent, not just the natural landscape moving and shifting, but you actually hear skittering and noises coming down through kind of like this artificial tunnel beneath this bones. You can see that it leads out into another area or behind this kind of rocky outcropping. But you hear more noises.
I guess I haven't clarified that. Are there like pack animals with us? Are we each carrying a large backpack? Like, what does the supplies situation look like, to where if we tried to hide, what are we trying to hide, you know?
So let me see if I can find, essentially you guys have a pack horse to kind of...
Okay.
The trek to your next outpost is probably only about 2 or 3 days, depending on how you travel.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't have a ton of stuff to, like, you didn't have like a train of wagons or or whatever. So you should essentially have Professor Whitmore, Ewan, and a horse, and I will find you a horse.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. I just kind of was getting a picture of how big of an operation we would try to make stand still or whatever we need to kind of be on guard.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Noah would like to kind of take out his spyglass and see if he can get a closer look at what may or may not be coming out of that kind of cave.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. You look deep into through the tunnel, and you see kind of like little quick flashes of green and blue and red kind of just dart across your vision.
And so these are very fast-moving things.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I'll kind of relay that information to the others.
Are they moving across the ground, or are they kind of like living like they're flying anyway?
They're across the ground and kind of up on the stone itself.
Okay. And then is this the way that we have to travel, or not necessarily?
You don't necessarily have to travel that way. You could go around and get a different angle. You can tell though that Ewan and the professor's curiosity has been piqued.
Okay. What do you think, No? What do we do?
I suppose No is unsure of why he was sent to this area. So, kind of anything that, especially in such a desolate kind of surrounding, any sign of life or activity is something that he thinks, well, maybe that's the sign that he's been looking for. So he would definitely be keen on approaching, albeit with caution.
Yeah, good luck is gonna advise. Like, oh man, I don't know about getting closer. No, there's terrible things with teeth. I mean, just look around you. And he's like pointing at these bones of these massive creatures. Like, I don't know how much you want to be curious. But
And
he's not gonna keep him from anything. He's just makes him a little queasy.
The flashes of things that I saw, what impression size-wise did I get, or was there just not enough information to judge?
Through your spyglass, you see them to appear kind of larger. They did kind of fill your vision, at least not like entirely, but they weren't like little specks.
Okay, so these could be potentially quite large, and I suppose Noel said to the professor, I would like to investigate further, but this is, I suppose, your expedition in some ways. So, what do you think?
It's a good question, my friend. Well, we definitely want to make note of anything. Like I said yesterday at the table, the knowledge and documentation on Skar itself is quite sparse, surprisingly, and so any information would help future travelers and future expeditions. Like you saw, we had no recollection of that skull statue, so perhaps there are other things that you just don't know about and someone needs to write down. So I say we find out, for science and for knowledge, at least.
Yes, well, I'm certainly with you. What do you think, Good Luck? Has that persuaded you?
Yeah, Good Luck's gonna, unsling his rifle, and it's kind of this long-barreled, a little bit. I imagine it to be similar to the shape of like the Tuscan Raider rifles, and
oh, nice, yeah. That's
in
awesome.
Star Wars, where it's kind of like a long hunting rifle, not like a blunderbuss or anything.
Okay.
And so he's gonna kind of have that at the ready, and he knows that he doesn't need to get like tangled up in something really close, but he'd rather have a gun at the ready.
Totally
So he
fine.
kind of loads up that goblin built rifle, and he's like, "Well, I'll be keeping an eye out, and damn if the seas didn't teach me to have my hand firmly on the wheel, and I just the waves can bring in anything out here." So he kind of starts like stepping forward, and he would love to. There's kind of is the path of these creatures coming directly toward us? Like, do they appear to be making progress toward us?
No, they seem to be staying in their space behind behind these bony carcass. This, what is this?
So,
Yes.
So I think Good Luck is going to suggest, like, all right, lads, you stay here, and I go and take a gander to yonder bones, and I'll come back and see if it's noteworthy or we need to be on our heels. And so, yeah, he's going to suggest that he kind of like sneak up and take a look and kind of use his hunting skills to not draw attention from creatures. And
Okay.
and then kind of wave others over if it's not going to be too dangerous,
For sure. Well, give me an easy dex check for that hunting stealth.
Okay, I've got +2.
Woo! Ho ho ho! Okay, so I'm gonna change the scene, and you can position yourself anywhere that you want.
Excellent.
Okay, so I'll describe the scene for a second, and I'll let you position yourself wherever you want. Essentially, as you come over and through that tunnel, you come out and you see again this massive skull lying in the sand, and around it you see skittering lizards, quite large. It seems to be a nest, and you see one lizard to be quite a bit larger than the others. But with that critical stealth check, take a hero coin and position yourself wherever you want. And I'd even like, you wanted to be in that skull, in the mouth, in the nest. Like, you got a 20. Like, just
yeah.
But wherever you want.
I'm gonna need to. Let's see here. I'm gonna refresh. Jump back in. Yeah, okay, here we go. I'm back. And so as I kind of see these lizards, and I'm just like, damn sciences and the scientists, and I'm just kind of like grumbling, like, why are we going toward the giant lizards? And I think as I approach, I don't see them like there doesn't appear to be like overly aggressive, or that they're like brooding over a kill or anything like that, right?
No, not at the moment.
Okay, so
will in about 5
I think
minutes.
what was that? I didn't catch that.
Oh no, I was just saying that they weren't kind of brooding over a kill, but that they will be in about 5 minutes. Once they spot you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna kind of make a hand gesture back to the group of like, with my hand, it's like a chomping mouth, like with teeth, and being like, trying to make like, ooh, scary, like, we don't want to like run up on these things. And then I'm, like kind of giving the hand motion, like, oh, something skittering across the ground, like it walks. And then, I'm gonna put my finger to my lips of kind of like the, like motion, and be like, all right, you gotta be really careful. But I'm gonna position myself, and I think, I'm gonna. I don't really have an idea of a strategic advantage to kind of get on these things. Does there appear to be like a nest in the skull, and like eggs?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So kind of using that to sneak up a little bit. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see if with a 20. I think I'm gonna try to. I don't want to snag one of these things' eggs. I don't even know exactly. I guess part of me as like a player, I'm not sure exactly what we can accomplish here besides like the professor getting notes and accounting for science kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I don't really want to get right in the thick of it. I just want to set up with a good position, a rifle at the ready to catch anything that if they start skittering toward us, and I'm gonna kind of wave over gently, like, okay, be super careful, but we can take a peek and then we gotta get out of here. So
Yeah, for sure.
it's a little safari look, but we're not gonna go hang out with the lions and pet them, kind of thing.
For sure. And to answer your kind of player quandary, the way that I'm kind of going with this, at least for this session and hopefully for the whole adventure, is I'm trying to lean into that expedition and exploration element, as well as offering up opportunities for you guys to find not only wondrous things, but also to actually find relics and items and artifacts that potentially you could use later on. They're not necessarily like magic, like these eggs aren't like magical loot eggs that grant you all sorts of things.
Right.
But you could collect them and have them on hand to either return back and have artifacts, or potentially trade them. They have value or those kind of things. So
I think as a character, good luck would be motivated as well. That like the professor would pay him more if like samples are collected. Like if he's able to bring back significant findings to Gray, then good luck would be compensated for that. And I think that would be motivating. Like, okay, I'll be able to make a really good living and like move my life forward.
100%.
Just about money, but that would be a good reason for me. Like, otherwise, I'm like, these relics, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with them. Like, I care about goblin relics, but otherwise, it's kind of like, I don't really want to get in this tangle with lizards. But if the professors let me know that, like, okay, it's gonna really be worth your time to snag some things along the way, then I can definitely jive with that.
Yeah, 100%. He as you guys were walking earlier, he probably did talk to you about the idea of not only is this documenting Skar and creating those maps, but it is that collection of artifacts and specimens that can be used. And so, if you kept a running list of everything that you had collected on your ventures through Skar, then you'd be compensated at the end of it as they return back to the university, as well as you'd be, your reputation as a guide would grow immensely.
Okay, excellent. All right, I'm on track now. Thank you.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm just gonna set up and kind of wave them over, and I can kind of see that there are eggs, but overall, I'm just like, okay, let's get our notes and get out. Like, I don't necessarily want to jump right in the middle of all of them.
Okay. So, no, Ewan and the professor all kind of like scuttle up next to you, and you kind of have a bit of a hill between you to kind of like hide over and peek down into it. And the professor is fascinated. He's, that large lizard. It must be one of the parents. It's 5 times as big as the children, as the offspring. And look at it. It's almost at least half the size of that skull, and that skull is incredible.
What makes you so sure that they're the same species?
I don't think that he doesn't. I wouldn't think it would be a dragon. I think it's natural fauna in Skar.
Oh, okay. No, says relieved at the thought that these things might one day grow to be the same size as the skeletal remains.
The potential. We may not know how old this creature is and what its growth is. We'd have to track them and study them and perhaps find more. Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess he just kind of wants to gauge a little bit of like, are these things gonna, just snap at anything that comes close? Like, they seem really hostile. So I just want to take like a little pebble or stone that's next to me and like toss it on the other side of the skull and just kind of see what the reaction is to a new sound from this group of lizards.
Very smart. You go for it. Give me a dex roll for your aim.
Okay, +2. That's 5.
So as you throw, the sand beneath you kind of shifts, and the rock tumbles out of your hand. And instead of falling behind the stone, it kind of just tumbles down.
Oh no!
Down the hill itself, and you can see that the lizards all immediately like pop their heads up, almost like prairie dogs, and like the little ones kind of skitter around a little bit, but the larger one picks up its head more slowly and begins trotting over, and you can see its tongue sticking out and smelling the air, catching wind of you guys, and you can see it begins to almost change its demeanor as it approaches. And as it gets closer, you see it actually getting larger in scale. Just a little, not like that much, like obviously it's getting closer, so it's just getting a little bit bigger.
Well, no, but not care to get in a fight with this kind of lizard type thing for two reasons. He doesn't want to hurt himself, but he also doesn't want to hurt it unnecessarily. So he'll kind of recommend to the others that perhaps we ought to fall back. I mean, it's just guarding its lair, its offspring, its unhatched eggs. It's only natural that it would want to defend its lair. So maybe we ought to remove ourselves from here.
Okay. As you do, the horse gives off a nervous whinny.
Oh, no. Damn horse.
And as the horse kind of rears and shakes its head in that nervous, horsey way, the lizard itself almost catches wind of it, and it just pounces at the horse.
Oh no! No!
So I'll give you guys a dex roll to see if you can respond to it. Otherwise, the lizard is going to get a nice bite of your horse.
Oh man. Skittering quickly. Okay. +2 for me, it's a 9.
Okay, David. Or no. You get a chance to respond before he catches the bite of the horse.
Okay. In which case, I would like to grab my sling and try and fling a stone at this lizard before it kind of gets to our horse if possible, just to kind of hopefully kind of scare it off or discourage it from pursuing our poor old horse.
Okay. Give me another dex.
Okay.
Woo! Okay. Roll damage.
Okay, so I'm, if possible, he doesn't really want to do a lot of damage. He just kind of wants to.
Oh, okay.
Know he's there. So, but it's only a d6. So
yeah. So let's just roll a d6, and that's how aware he is of you now.
Okay.
So he is now very aware. You caught him. You caught the creature well enough that it did immediately break its attention on the horse, but it brought its attention entirely onto you.
Well, hopefully it's learned its lesson now, and it'll, toddle on back to where it came from. Lesson learned.
Yes. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Well, no, you just took your turn.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck.
Thank you.
So what Good Luck is going to do is he's going to get to his goblin trapper kit. And what he's going to prepare is just like a simple like blast from this spring-loaded launcher that I have. And I'm just going to get some of this like particular spider silk from Thashun that's sticky. And they use it, the spiders weave their webs to kind of like, and capture their prey. But being a natural substance, it's not like a metal wire that just exists forever and, condemns a creature to death. It's just like a sticky glob of it, like a sticky net. And so I'm just going to like do an intelligence roll to be able to prepare that shot and load it up in kind of this, spring-loaded gadget, goblin gadget, so that I could, one, like trap one of these small creatures in the webbing, but also I'm thinking particularly to kind of like trap the jaws and the teeth of the big one. So if I could like get a good shot, it would just keep it from the big bite. So obviously claws and tail still a problem, but
nice.
It'd be great to take the mouth out of I don't want to get bit by a lizard.
No, that's a smart move.
I'm just gonna +2 intelligence, so that's 10. So yeah, not quite able to make the web kind of is stickier and harder to manage than I remember, and so not able to get it prepared quite in time. And I imagine like definitely getting vibes of like the Mummy, where it's like the one guy that's like the leading the expedition. He's just like, damn, like why are we getting there in neck deep in all this? I don't even know, but I got to deal with it now. So he's kind of like, working really furiously to try to get something to kind of at least take a little heat off of him. But
for sure,
unfortunately, doesn't get it this time.
For sure, that's awesome. Yeah, and if you try it again, it'll be easy on your next turn. And no, I apologize. I think for saving the horse with that quick thinking, that slingshot, you should have gotten a hero coin.
Nice.
Okay.
I apologize for not giving it to you in the moment.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, these as this lizard again rears its head, it's going to quickly move in, and it is going to try to get a quick snap at David as the smaller baby lizards kind of are emboldened and join in the chase. So David, it's going to try to catch you.
Okay.
But no, it does not. You see as it snaps at you, these teeth are at least the size of your thigh.
Oof.
Good. That's encouraging.
Yeah, you hear the professor and you in as well, like yelling, "Oh dear, oh my," "Oh my," and
yeah,
like you see like Ewan grabbing the horse, and he's trying to like calm it down enough that they can pull it away from the hill.
Yeah.
So,
I would definitely like to be instructing them to get out of here, like telling them like get out of the way, like we'll buy you some time, kind of thing.
For sure. Give me no, you don't have to give me that one. They'll pull along, and they're gonna start backing out of the scene, leaving you guys here. Okay. Back to you, No.
Okay. So this one that just attacked me, it's still looking aggressive, yes?
Yes. It's caught scent of a meal. And it doesn't necessarily fear humans much.
Well, we'll have to remedy that. So Noah will kind of whip out his green staff and kind of try and whack this lizard, slap bang on the nose.
Okay. Let's see it.
Give it another warning shot and see if he can convince it to run back to its lair and leave us alone. Okay, is that strength or dex? Strength, is it?
Let's give it strength.
Okay. The butt same anyway. Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, you pull it out and just bop it on the nose, but the thing is sturdier than you expected. You feel it reverberating through your staff.
Okay.
And so it only kind of like shakes its head at you, and you see its tongue like flicking, and you feel its coarse tongue flick across your leg, or as it gets closer, ready for another snap.
Okay.
You still have a move if you want.
And I'm gonna suggest that you kind of back away where I can put something between us and the lizard.
Yeah, I mean, if I can kind of retreat a little bit without giving it, a D&D attack of opportunity, then I will.
Oh, for sure. I don't like. We're not going to do attacks of opportunities that way. So no fear.
So then I'll kind of, having failed miserably and trying to hit it, I will kind of jump back a few steps.
Okay.
Try and put a space between the two of us.
Nice. All right. Good luck.
Can't help but I can't. Good luck can't help but laugh just a little bit, being like, boy, it's not one of your sheep. As I see him like bonk him on the nose with that thing. He's not gonna listen. And so just like still laughing. I think what I want to do is I want to use that same kind of glue contraption, but instead of like making a net, I want to basically string it from one side of the canyon and then spring load launch it to the other side, where it makes like a big, long, almost like glue cable, so that this big one could just run into that. It would like tingle it up a little bit, and the little ones would be able to skitter under, but the big one would hopefully be delayed, seriously delayed. So this is my intelligence roll. I get +2.
Nice.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. It goes off. You fiddled with the webs, but you got it to click into place, and poof, it springs, and it's able to launch that cord all the way across.
Yeah, it's almost like a piece of gum that's like stretched, from one side of the canyon to the other, and pretty tight, but kind of like that tension in between, kind of like a gooey substance.
Yeah.
Like the tangled spider silk, and so hopefully this big one will run into it. And so I'm gonna set that up, and then be backing away. And I don't want to kill this thing unnecessarily. Like I'm a good hunter in that way, but I do pull up the rifle in case I need to protect my friends.
No, makes sense.
And back away out of the canyon.
Okay. So as you do, the webbing works. The lizard kind of, as you back away, it takes a moment to jump and lunge, but it catches into the web, and it really throws off its game, and it starts kind of like turning and snapping and spinning as it tries to figure out what's sticking to it unexpectedly. And so give me a D4 roll, and that's how long it's going to be impaired.
Okay. Here we go. Okay. That makes sense. Just one round.
Yep. So one round, it's going to be impaired. So you wanted to move out, and the lizards, you're able to kind of escape and run as the smaller lizards give chase. And as you do, you actually hear water, and you follow the tracks of the professor and Ewan and the horse as you kind of end up in this larger watery canyon. Is it a little almost spring has formed, and you see bones still jutting out of the stone itself. And so you have one round until the large creature arrives, but you guys have moved yourselves out kind of into this open clearing, and you're following the professor and Ewan. So let me grab the horse card. And so as they do, we're going to see how many of the small lizards kind of get a snap at you. So the first one is we're going to do 2 each. So 2 for good luck. That's a 12 and a 7. Do either of those hit?
12 does hit.
Okay, so 1 on you, and then for you, no. That's a 5 and a 19. So I'm assuming 1 hit.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Alright, so they're going to just, as they snap at you, they kind of like jump up and bite. And good luck, you take 1 damage. And no, you take 4.
Come on, friend.
Okay.
I'm thinking one was probably latched on to like the shin or the the leg of no for a bit, and then I get to bat it away with a shovel, and it kind of rips the chunk out. Be like, oh no, sorry, friend, we got to go. Get it, scream away.
Okay, well, no. You see the professor and Ewan and the horse at the far side, kind of having splashed through the water. It's not deep at all. You see stones, and it's just kind of flowing gently over the surface of the canyon. But they seem to be just running away and trying to get as far away from that thing as possible. So what do you do?
I suppose, I mean, I'm going to follow them. I'm trying to get as far away from this thing myself too.
Mm-hmm.
Would be Leggett would be the name of the game, I think, at this point.
Okay. So yeah, if you sprint, you can get all the way over to them on the far side of the water. Very nice.
For a little fella, he can sure move fast when he has to.
For sure. And you, good luck.
Yeah, good luck is really, I think, quite amazed to see how quickly No can move. He's just like, how does he do that? You know, and his long legs are like, I'm not even moving as fast. He just got bit in the leg. He's still moving that fast. He's just kind of like, I think this guy's got a lot of surprises for me, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna slow down a little bit, where he's like catching up, and he's like calling out to No, like, you know, tell them to slow down, tell them to calm down. Like, I don't think the lizard has much cause to come after still. Like, we can't be bumbling around out here, you know. Like, I'm kind of concerned about all the noise that we're making and just like crashing about the wilderness. So I'm kind of like trying to quietly yell to be like, oh, hey, stop, calm down, you know, kind of like looking up the canyon walls, being like, all right, there's at least one big thing, so I'm a little concerned about another, so I'm trying to call out as I kind of wade through the water.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any rebuttal for that? No.
I suppose No is going to be kind of pretty breathless, having sprinted for his life, you know. So he'll kind of in between, kind of gasping for breath, he'll shout encouragement to good luck.
Okay, so you can see that the lizards arrive just behind you, and they're a little hesitant with the water. Not a whole ton, but you can see them kind of like stalking out into the water themselves, spreading out. They're on the hunt, for sure. And after a moment, you hear a large, not a roar, because I don't think lizards roar, but a kind of the louder hissing and almost reptilian scream come as the other lizard arrives, not able to do anything, but it's almost as if watching to see how the the baby lizards kind of perform in their hunt.
Yeah, it's got like a mama cat.
Hmm.
Like, here's the mice. You know?
So we've got two that are going to go after good luck. Another one is going to kind of like start stalking around, circling the right side of you. No, and the other one you can see is eyeing the horse from the other angle. And so the 2 on good luck, it's a 7 and a 7. So nothing happens. You're able to bat them away. Okay. No. How would you proceed?
So you said one of them is closing in on the horse.
Yes. You seem to be getting 2 that are flanking you, 1 from each side, and 2 are kind of hitting the center where good luck is.
Okay, but I've seen them kind of miss good luck, so I'm
Yes.
going to focus. I'm going to. Noah's kind of pull out his screen staff, but instead of wielding it as a weapon, he's going to kind of lift the end up to his lips and start playing kind of a short, sweet kind of tune on it, as that's his way of casting a spell. So he's going to try and cast Divine Shield on the horse, which, if successful, would enchant the target to absorb the next 10 effort.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Very nice.
So I think that's wisdom, isn't it?
I believe so.
Yes.
Whew.
There we go. So 23.
Yes. You are able to to cast Divine Shield on it, and so the whole horse. I don't think the horse recognizes it, but everyone, like the professor and Ewan, definitely do, as the horse begins to glow. Just this almost very, very majestic, shimmering ambient glow surrounds the horse. Very nice. Defend that horse. Okay, and good luck.
yeah. I've saved this as a kind of a last resort, but they're not scared of humans. But I don't think they've seen a goblin. I think it's only fair that I call it a boomstick. The fact that it's goblin in make as well, I feel like that's appropriate. So I'm gonna take that out, and again, like I know these things are just doing what they do. So I'm gonna wince. So I was just calling out about being quiet, so I just really don't want to do this, but I'd love to scare these things off. And I'm gonna fire a shot into the air, and I'm hoping that the sound of the canyon, kind of echoes it, and it is just terrifying to these creatures. So boom, just unleash the gunpowder of the goblin boomstick.
Okay, give me that fire just to see how loud it is.
Okay. Oh man, can I?
You can.
David, you want to hear going? Do you want to try to make this more effective? I don't think I have a hero coin.
You do have a hero coin.
You do.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I'm definitely going to use mine.
Yep.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go.
Whew!
Yes.
Yes,
So
excellent.
I think at first the powder doesn't really ignite, and it's kind of like a. I'm like, oh no, and then go, boom! Big explosion after.
Yes, and it works like a charm. Like as you'd imagine, or at least more so than you imagine, the explosion of that shot reverberates and echoes multiple times back and forth across this canyon. The birds, all of a sudden, that were there drinking the water, completely flutter away. The lizards just completely scamper and turn back and dart back underneath the mother, they're standing up underneath its legs, or even on someone on its back, and the lizard itself looks back at you. It's definitely scared as it skitters away, looks back, kind of glares at you as it flicks its tongue out and disappears back over its nest. over to its nest.
Nice job.
Very nice. So as they
go to the group and just say like, all right, we're going to have to measure the cost of these eggs. It's been like, I don't think we could just go be looking all the time. This is the wilds of Skar after all. I'm just tired, and it's like bottom half of my clothing is just wet from the river, and I'm just kind of like a sopping mess, and just like trudging my way over to the group. Like, all right, hopefully that gunshot didn't call anything bigger. Just kind of just rejoining the group and reloading the rifle.
Nice.
Good luck to him.
Okay. Well, you have. Let me see. I'm going to give you kind of about a turn in that kind of hour sense rather than moments. So, David, if you wish, you can spend that time kind of healing up, or you can do something different if you want. But essentially, after the lizards leave and the professor and Ewan get everyone calmed down, and they kind of, you can tell that they've never really been in that kind of a situation before, and they're both terrified but energized by it, taking notes and documenting the lizards' behavior. We find a path kind of leading up out of the canyon, and it's going to take a little bit of time trekking up. So you guys have a turn in almost an hour, a couple hours to trek up this. So what do you do as you trail up this head up this trail?
Well, I think Noah would. I mean, he only suffered 1 point of damage, so he'd be less concerned with that. But maybe would try and sort of calm the nerves of the professor and Ewan. Maybe he'll kind of play an uplifting melody on his kind of flute, green staff type thing.
Okay. Yeah, give me a roll to see how well.
Okay. not very well, it seems.
Yeah,
like
it's
a kid practicing violin.
It's probably their ears just aren't attuned to the Greenway's lullabies.
Yes, maybe I play something that I think is going to be relaxing, but has quite the opposite effect. It's like watching a Alfred Hitchcock movie or something. The cycle kind of sounds and just puts them even more on edge.
All the flat notes.
Yeah. Well, too many trills and too many shrills from that flute. Okay, and good luck.
What would good luck be doing? I think I would be taking notes on my maps, and I would be writing like with a in the location we found the nest. I'm writing like a red X and being like almost in like childish handwriting, like no go, like just bad, and then like little frowny face or something, and just write like lizard nest. And then I'm gonna take a look at those maps to kind of like see from here if we can get any help on the next leg of the journey, if I've managed to capture any notes from other travelers. So
go for it.
Intelligence roll +2. It's a dirty 20.
Okay, dirty 20. Very nice. Yep. So you seem to have noticed that you're in the depths of the old bones, as well as you recognize that this is potentially one of the only water sources in the area. So collecting some water may be of great use.
Yeah, definitely want to do that. Using the trapper's kit and adventurer's pack and such, I'm gonna load up as much water as I can and suggest that others do the same. Be like, all right, lads, looks like it's gonna be dry from here. Take your drink and keep drinking after that.
Okay, so let's.
We are gonna lead the horse to water, and it will not drink. Damn horse.
Okay. Well, with that knowledge, no and good luck. Give me a D4 roll for each of them. For each of you, yeah. Okay, so you have a skin of water with the number that you rolled of uses of it, and essentially every use that you use of that water, you can add a D4 to your recovery roll, or to your recovery action.
Have we gotten the horse's name?
You tell me.
Bronson.
What is it?
Bronson.
Bronson? I like it.
Well, I can tell you that the horse's opinion and disposition towards you, no, has improved tremendously. Okay. So as you, after getting your water, and you trek up the canyon itself, as you crest over you kind of crest the canyon and get up to its edge, you find yourself faced at you're staring at the clawy feet of some more reptilians. But this time, instead of what was I going to say? Instead of a giant lizard standing there, you look up and you see that there is a group of robed figures. All, instead of horses in this picture, they're riding smaller lizards.
Okay.
And you see several of them. They're all holding like staves, and you see them kind of lined up with guns, and all robed and and wrappings to protect themselves from the wind. And they kind of look down at you, and they level a few guns on you, and you can almost see them kind of giving you the look to no funny business as you come out of the canyon.
So Noah will kind of say under his breath to good luck, should I play them a tune on my flute?
We want them to be friendly, no.
Yes, good
You
point.
you got a tune you can play that can make them friendly?
Well, my confidence in my flute playing has gone down a little bit since my last efforts, so perhaps I'll just keep it stowed for now.
One of them in particular, it seems to be the central figure, who's a bit taller and larger than the rest of them, who's unhooded, and you see his face is quite gaunt. His eyes are sunken back, but around his neck is a necklace of skulls of various size and shapes and creature. And he almost asks you in this deeper, kind of not melodic but slower voice, "Was it you? Were you the one making all the noise?"
And does he say that to someone in particular or to all of us?
Just to you guys in general. I think he's kind of eyeing good luck at the moment, having, he can see a gun in relation, and he's referring to the large boomstick explosion, or the gunshot from there.
So Noah will, despite, every fibre in his being trying to resist, can't help but kind of look at, his eyes will kind of dart to the side to look at good luck.
And good luck says, it's good to make the acquaintance of a fellow hunter, I can see, like with the skulls around the necklace and such. And his hands aren't necessarily like, sticking straight in the air in fear, but they're definitely like palms are out. I'm not holding anything. I don't want to cause any trouble. And he's like, we had some trouble with some lizards. They tried to eat the horse. We need the horse to live. And he just kind of like shrugged it off, and he's like, I had to make some noise and shoo those creatures away. And we mean no harm and no trouble. We're just making our way. We're good men on a good quest to find good knowledge, and just trying to be very gregarious. And I think that's the word. I feel like I don't actually know what gregarious means, but just trying to have everybody be friends. Like, there's no, even though you're wearing skulls, I'm not your enemy. Just can't we all just get along here?
Okay. Yeah, give me a charisma roll.
Okay, it's +1 to charisma. Nice, 19.
Nice. Yes, you see, since none of you are necessarily acting in any sorts of way, and it seems to make sense. Their disposition does soften a little bit. They're still on guard, and he thinks for a moment at your response, and well, the Varani are quite ferocious when they have a meal in mind. Smart to use the noise. They're quite skitterish. It's usually quiet here. But you are still trespassing on our land. This is the territory of the Zurach clan.
Oh, no harm meant, and no signs were posted. Kind of like looking around to the waste and just being like, sorry. I think we could pay for our passage through your lands. I'm sure we can find something adequate and to your liking. What say ya?
And you can see that as he thinks about it, several of the others kind of like skirt around and almost surround you just a little bit. They're not threatening you, but you can, at the same time, they are very much kind of enforcing themselves.
Yeah, totally.
And eventually, after you kind of are surrounded in a way, he just looks at you and is like, "Is that so? If it is, let us discuss it." And he kind of just turns and begins plodding off with his lizard steed, as well as the other ones kind of like take a step forward towards you guys.
Was he gesturing that, like follow me and we're gonna go somewhere and discuss it, or like let's discuss it and my dudes are about to kill you?
No. So it's much. He didn't mention say it in words, but he's implying you're coming with us.
Gotcha.
And I mean, if you wish to resist, you can. Otherwise, you can begin following.
No, I think we should follow.
Yeah. Good luck's going to be agreeable here. This is not a fight that looks like one to be easily fought or easily be the victor. So he's gonna go along for now, and he's kind of, I think, admittedly pretty curious about these guys. He hasn't really met people like out in deep in the Skar, and wants to learn some more. So he's kind of excited for it.
Okay. So you guys begin to travel, and the sun sets and begins to dip below the horizon, and the sky gets darker and things get colder. And you come out after a few, probably about an hour, maybe 2 hours of walking. You come upon this just incredibly huge, bigger than any of the other drakes that you've seen, dragon that's just lying in the sand, and you can see that it's lined with pikes and skulls and torches, and you can see that there's actually a path of torches and things leading up the back of the creature to this structure that has been settled directly on top of the spine of the beast. And you kind of look through, and they just continue walking. They stop and get off their lizards and kind of mention to you that the horse stays. And for a moment, you're a little concerned. The lizards seem to be eyeing him almost as a pile of meat, which it probably is to them. But they don't immediately like pounce on him, or they seem to be well trained.
Goodluck's going to call out and be like, "We've gone to quite a bit of trouble for the horse. We'd sure appreciate if the horse was not a meal for those creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And, beautiful as they are." And he kind of gestures toward the lizards.
Yeah, and don't worry. They're well trained. At least they won't do anything until commanded.
Oh. Well done. Hero Coin's the GM. I love the double-edged comment there. That's good.
Okay, so they do trek you up, kind of up the beast itself, and you walk on it, and you feel that this fossilized creature is just pure stone to your feet. But as you walk past, you see that all the skulls are etched with glyphs and runes and markings that obviously did not come from its from the point of origin. They weren't there when they were pulled from whoever they belonged to, and so they seem to have a very deep fascination with skulls as you travel up. Anything that you guys wish to do as you trek up to the tent?
Well, I mean, it's pretty foreboding, so and impressive at the same time. So I think No is kind of going to stay kind of somewhat sheepish. Not surprising given his background, but we'll just kind of try and keep his head down and not make eye contact with anyone as he becomes a little bit more and more apprehensive.
Mm-hmm. For you, good luck.
Yeah, good luck is trying to break the tension. Like, it's like this, you're going into a giant skeleton that's covered in skull worshippers. Like, it's not a pleasant situation, but he's really trying to make the best of it in a way that's slightly awkward. He's like, "Whoa, hey, look at that. I see what you've done with the place." And he's just like admiring, the decoration and everything. He's like, "Whoa," trying to just lighten the mood. And he's like, "Professor, have you ever seen anything like this? I'm sure you've only seen things like this in books, but now with your own eyes, like, what an opportunity. Like, thank you." And he's like speaking to the capturers and the Zurok. And he's just like, "Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to see your home. I'm sure you don't get many visitors." And he kind of like phrases it like a question, like these are, and he actually points to the skulls that are decorating the place. And he's like visitors? Question.
And so the professor kind of like tugs, like as you talk to him, he kind of like mentions and leans over and just kind of like whispers. He's like, I've read that Skar did house skull, mages, wizards who worship the bones, who use their bones as mighty relics. But those were ancient tomes. They can't still be here. And so you guys kind of trek off. They don't really make any mention of the skulls that you pass until you get inside, and you find yourself in this very kind of packed and shambled together in a very methodical. It's not a mess by any means, but it's this structured tent. Drapes abound, lanterns are hanging, and you can smell foreign incense and spices being burned to give the air a wafting sense of just a kind of a very not what's the word I'm looking for? It's very in your face.
Like a spice.
Yeah.
Like strong spices.
Yes. Just kind of it fills the nostrils almost to the point where you can't not notice.
Perhaps the word pungent.
Pungent, that's the word. Thank you. I'm struggling to find my words today.
Sure.
Anyways, they not drag you in. They pull you in and they settle in and they sit down and they kind of offer you a seat on these cushions as well. And you see that there's others standing around. You see them like looking and doing things. In the corner you see another kind of pillar, and this time instead of a carved stone, you actually do see a very ornately carved skull. It doesn't look human by any means, but it draws your attention. It's almost a religious shrine to a particular skull. All candles around it and everything, and they sit down and you look around, and he kind of gestures back and says, "You said that we could discuss why you're here and what you wish to do in our land."
Could I just ask, the pedestal there with the skull, obviously it's the same artwork as the huge one that we saw earlier,
Yes.
but is it actually a replica, a small replica of the same one, or is it just something similar?
I'm gonna say it's different enough. Like it's the structure that you saw earlier was more of like almost a human skull. This one is oddly it looks like a skull, but it has much different kind of structural. It's not. It doesn't appear to be a natural human.
Okay.
And I'll say for just the contrast, this one does only have one eye socket, for example.
Okay.
Yeah, good luck is going to gesture to the professor, and not to, put it on a GM versus GM conversation, but the professor knows why we're here more than I do.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Professor, I think we should be friendly with these lads. Like, perhaps you could fill in the blanks for them and assure them that the purposes here are trivial and seekers of knowledge, and we have no business of trifling with any of their doings or their deeply held and sacred things."
Okay.
Kind of like leaves it open for the professor to kind of like be like, just let them know we're not here for trouble.
Okay. So he's gonna roll. Since you want the professor to do it, he's just gonna roll a straight D20, and we'll see how well he communicates what you just mentioned. So he does. He does kind of convey clearly that there are scientists, that they're there to explore Skar, that they're on their way to Lizard Rock specifically to study it and to explore. And the leader kind of nods and listens, and he kind of just thinks for a moment, almost longer than your general social cues would allow, or allow you to feel comfortable about. And he looks, says, "Fair." Or he's like, "Oh, we have been watching you as you've traveled through the land, and I can see that your story matches. We do not take kind to liars in this land. beasts of Skar don't lie, so we try not to as well. So he kind of like gives you a little bit of a backstory just as introductions. He introduces himself as Nirvan. He's a leader of the Zurok clan, a clan of skull wizards. And he describes how they have remained in secret, guarding the old bones of the dragons, and they oversee this land to ensure that it is not desecrated by any means. And they've seen that you have not done anything to desecrate the old bones, having not gathered any samples, per se.
Big size, like, oh man, glad I didn't have time for that.
And so he kind of gives you guys an opportunity to ask a question or two if you wish.
Yeah. Definitely want to hear what No is thinking with the skull wizards. I feel like these are more your folk than mine.
Well, I suppose No would kind of show that he's shown great interest in all the various artifacts and pieces that are kind of lying around the place, and you kind of go, oh, that is an amazing piece that you have over there, kind of pointing over to the pedestal with the skull, and he kind of goes, that seems such a strange creature. What was it when it was alive?
And he kind of nods, knowingly, like, of course you asked about our shrine. Like, it makes sense. And he asks one of the acolytes to go over and grab it and bring it to him. And as it comes over, you can actually feel a presence. You can feel the whole mood of the room change. Not necessarily in a negative way, but it's kind of pressing upon you, its presence. And he describes that this is a relic of his clan for generations. It was a skull that we found with power, and it taught our ancestors the ways of the skullcraft, the ability to enchant, hex, and guard against evils of the world, creatures and others, using the skulls of their kind. He actually kind of also points out that, like, he holds one of his necklaces is like a lizard skull, and he kind of rubs at it, and it grants protection against others of their kind, and boons of power or what have you, depending on the hex. And this skull taught our ancestors and teaches us many things.
Oh, fascinating, says No, kind of taking it in, although much of it kind of goes over his head.
So you're able to, like, as you guys kind of have this conversation, it ends up over the night. They bring food in. They are being quite hospitable to you. But in the end, they ask, as the night drags on, and and things like that, they kind of get to the point. What are you willing to offer to us for safe passage?
Well, I think No is going to look at the professor and hope that he's got an answer, because No has very little in the way of possessions or money or anything like that to offer this fellow.
Good luck. Do you do the same?
I would just ask them, like, what are you seeking? Like, are you seeking money, practical effects? Like, what would be of value to you? Like, I don't know what their day-to-day life or society looks like beyond. He's like, I don't have many skulls. Beyond that, what would you be seeking?
Oh, they'd kind of be talking about just more no monetary value is of no use of them. They'd be more looking for materials or items of sorts. But yeah.
Well, yeah, good luck is gonna kind of be like, well, it's not a skull, but I think this may be of value to you. It's been of great value to me, but it's more of a memory where to you it may be of great practical effect. And he's gonna kind of reach into his shirt and pull out like this tooth, and all right, it's like a piece of a sharpened like tusk. He's like, the great boars in the mountains of good. They were part of my trials to do my crafts and to know the ways that I do. And I'm not sure what other bones may offer you compared to the skulls that you so greatly value, but this tusk, it's difficult to find. It's of great value to me, but I'm ready to give it up if it's something that would satisfy your demands.
So he kind of takes the skull into it, not the skull, the tooth into his hand, and he kind of rubs it with his finger, and he kind of looks at it and says, this tooth has great power. Whatever boar you took it from was a great creature in its pack. But I can see that it is attuned to you, and so I cannot take it away from you. It would be disrespectful to the bones.
Well, I can't say that I'm too upset that you denied that offer. It means a great deal to me, and to hear what you have to say, I don't know if I'll ever part with it now. And he's just gonna, take it back and kind of humbly bow to Nirvan and just be like, yes, okay, got this back, and be like, I have the humble wares of a trapper and one of the wild. I don't know what the professor can offer, but I'm sure we can reach an amicable agreement between us all.
No. So in the end, after you kind of talk through that, the professor, looking at it for a second, and he thinks for a second and then pulls it out of his bag. A gem. A large kind of your fists together sized gem, and he offers it up, and he kind of brings it out and says, well, I apologize, but you've been so kind to us that I have to recompense a small lie from earlier, and in doing so I will offer you this for safe passage. And he offers it up to him, and he describes it as a Yogg crystal. Where he said that Ewan discovered this in a trade out in the bazaar back in Grey, and brought it back to me as a curiosity. But when we investigated it further, found it to be a Yogg crystal. But it was encased in stone that originated in Skar, specifically the landscape up north. What intrigued me the most was that Yogg is normally found down south in Zevos. And so we set out to seek potentially a new source of these crystals up here in Skar, potentially starting at the Lizard Rock as a place of origin. So I offer this to you in hopes that we can potentially find more when we arrive. But we are sorry and repent of our we repent in favor of your hospitality. And you can see for a moment that the admission of a lie, like he does kind of furrow his brow, but he looks at it and says, "I accept your compensation and consider you repentant."
No, let's add a kind of a sigh of relief. Kind of, I'm glad he came up with that. He was getting worried.
So they do offer you a place to sleep for the night and to rest. But how we are going to end this session is as you sleep, Ewan and the professor, Ewan kind of like comes over to you, and in the middle of the night while everyone is sleeping, they kind of like shake you awake, and they're kind of like, hey, we got to get going. We got to get going. And so they kind of pull you out of your slumber, and you guys all kind of sneak. If you don't question it, whatever, and you can if you want, but they essentially like encourage you to come down, and they find the horse packed and ready to go, before the sun has even risen.
Does it seem like we've been given leave, or are we like having to sneak out?
Ewan is encouraging you to sneak.
Okay. And so I'm just gonna ask Ewan, like, have we lost favor with the Zerak? Like, why are you being this way? You know, why can we? Is it just to beat the sun? Like, what's going on, boy?
Yeah, we risk offending them.
And for him, he's just like, you can tell that he's nervous. Like, he's just like, the professor's down with Bronson. I think we just need to go.
Well, I think no is, although it does worry that it might offend them that we've just snuck out, but at the same time he's kind of just quite happy to kind of get away from this place. He kind of gives him the heebie-jeebies, so he'll kind of go.
So in the dark, I'm just going to grab Ewan by the collar and be like, is there something else that you're not telling us? And just being like, basically, what kind of crap have we stepped in because of you? And just trying to intimidate him a little bit. Like,
okay, give me a charisma roll.
Big boy. I got +1. Ooh. No bueno.
No bueno. Yeah, he kind of like looks at you and be like, he kind of like for a moment is like, not mean or aggressive by any means, but he kind of like, bulks out his shoulders a little bit, and he's just like, the professor wants us to go, and he asked me to collect you.
Well, I think I'm gonna take a moment to be like, well, we at least can leave a note, and I'm gonna take out my notebook and just scrawl like a word of thanks, and then I'm gonna put I have like a few other small trophies of bones from like different hunts and different things, nothing as significant as the boar tusk, but just kind of like these small tokens, and just be like, thank you so much for your favor, and we mean no offense. We only mean to beat the sun, and just like scrolling it out really quickly and leaving it beside the place where I was sleeping.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Give me a final wisdom check.
Okay. +2. 17.
Okay. We're going to end the night as you look up and you see that the skull that they were showing you is missing.
Oh.
Oh no.
Damn scientists. No way.
And we're gonna end it right there.
Cool ending. I like it.